I am coming to you all in the most unperfect way, trying to come up with my thought process of the things that I want to do here on my channel. And although I love to be creative, I think I truly love being creative, like in my home, as we can see this beautiful backdrop that we were doing. If you haven't gotten to see that video, definitely go check it out. But a lot of the things that I have been experiencing is, how do I add value to someone who watches my content? If you don't know, part of my journey is that I used to create content, and this was like 7 years ago, and I ended up doing really well. I have almost 40,000 subscribers. I was able to create a coaching business from it, but it all started with tutorials. And so a lot of what I'm doing here is thinking that that's how you get to success, is getting found. But what I'm starting to realize in this day and age, especially because, one, I'm a different age than I was when I first started. I was a teacher of the classroom looking for a creative outlet because I was so depressed. I'm not in that stage of error. I'm not a teacher. I'm a teacher on YouTube. That's what I consider to be. And I don't like doing the same things. I think it's an old identity of the things that I do have. And I don't mind being creative, but the intention of showing a DIY tutorial needs to be very specific to the audience member that's watching. And I want to walk through my process of just showing up not inauthentically. I'm showing up very authentically, but in a way where, how do we co-create together things that would be meaningful for you? Because I have a lot of thoughts on the things that I want to create, and that is my problem, is that I always have a lot of thoughts. And so therefore, in order for me to calm the thoughts, being creative and just putting it out there, sometimes just showing up so imperfectly is the best form of how to get my thoughts in order and strategies put together. So if you're willing to sit down and chat with me, feel free to keep watching, because I think we're going to go deep into understanding my thought process for this channel. Where do I want to go? And hopefully you can give me some insight on the things you would love to see based on the things that I have envisioned, I think God has placed on my heart in order to incorporate in this new journey on my channel. So again, if you're interested, it's going to be a long one. So grab a drink, grab a snack. I already eat my snack, my Rice Krispie treat, but let's talk. Okay, so I have some notes that I am going to look at my computer for. But one of the things is, how do I create elevated content that is not only creative, and all these shopping hauls and decorative things is really fun, but I'm always a teacher. I'm always a person that, is this making a difference in someone else's life? But some of you are just like, yes, it is so good. Why not do more of it? And then some are just like, well, I just found you, so I don't know. I'm still judging on it. And that's okay too. But as a formal educator, I was creative with how I taught in the classroom. A lot of my students had such huge success in the things that I did teach. In fact, I think I was, not to brag, but to boost my little self, that I was so good at what I did, I didn't think I was doing a good job. I was so good at moving kids along with learning information because it was in a fun way. And I will bring this back into why I'm creating this video. And part of that was, I used to tell my kids, I was like, and they were my kids, because if you know, you know. If you're a teacher or you ever been around students, they become your kids, because my love was with them no matter what. And one thing I used to say was, I'm a mentor in a classroom. I don't know why they gave me a teaching degree. I don't know why they licensed me. I passed the test in the first try, which was insane, because growing up, I was a reading student. I didn't do well on tests ever. Not in any one of the education state tests did I do well. I passed, but I didn't do well. Part of that identity was that I didn't see the value of what I was doing. I just ran off of instinct most of the time, which is a value, which is something that I'm doing right now. Sometimes running off of intuition and just kind of showing up unfiltered and being in the space where you can just accept yourself for who you are. That is the value that people probably want. I didn't even know what overthinking was back then as a teacher, because it just, again, my mission was to teach as creative as possible to get the lesson learned. I bring all that back here in this video with you all. And part of me doesn't sit right with just sharing like a DIY tutorial bunny door hanger or a DIY Halloween pumpkin decoupage. I think they're valuable for the right person, but what's missing in my world is, how is this valuable for someone? How does this make a difference in someone else's life that's impactful, inspiring, and having the ability to make a difference? Not because creative tutorials aren't do that. I think I'm still going to do creative tutorials. I think at the end of the day, I love it, especially when it comes down to home decor. However, things that I want to incorporate into my content would be things that I truly love behind the scenes that I really don't tend to share here on my channel. Because, not to saying, again, it's the same kind of thing that I did in a classroom. I don't see the difficulty of doing it because it comes easy for me, and not thinking that somebody else may struggle. So one of the ideas that I put down was like, well, how do I make my content a lot more valuable? What would I put out there into the world to really make a difference? I also want to emphasize, I don't want to take away the creativity, but I want to bridge the things that make me me. Because being just creative, it's half of me. Teaching valuable things to make an impact and really make a difference in someone's life is the other half that I tend to hide, which I don't know why, which is why I'm showing up here. It is about to rain and pour where I'm at. I don't think you'll hear it because I got a great mic. However, if the color of this video changes, like the lighting, you know why. Because if you don't know, when it's rainy season down here, it is crazy. Anyways, so one of the content ideas that I thought about was, I love showing shopping hauls in here. I love showing seasonal decor. But obviously, I'm not going shopping every single day, every single week in order to create content. I don't have that level of income or revenue to support something like that, where that is the end goal. That's exactly what I want to do. Then how do I add value in between the shopping, in between the decorating? Because I thought tutorials would be it. And again, it will be, but it's not going to be such a strong pillar in my content. One example that I came up with was like my formula for choosing color palettes in my home decor. Why did I choose blue and white for Easter and not the typical pink, green, and white or whatever that else is out? There is a level of thought process that I go through in order to select certain colors that I desire in certain stages of area in my life. There's a whole process. There's, things that I think about when it comes down to the type of furniture I have. The color, I mean, I know it's white, but that is part of the process because it's not something you could do in my last living location. Things that will complement, not just like any blue, like how do I find a consistent blue? Or if there's a blend of blues, what is my thought process around that? So there's a specific strategy that I use naturally that sometimes people can't replicate because they don't understand what colors go well together, not just together in an isolated situation, but goes well in your home. I was like, man, that would be a great thing to show, which I don't know why I'm second guessing it, because it sounds great now that I'm thinking it through and be like, wow, that sounds good. Or even like how to make a DIY decor look a little more high end. I've been obsessed with high quality, high end things that look good and things that are naturally beautiful. And all those qualities are subjective. Someone might think all of my projects here do not look good. And some people might be like, oh no, you have a gift and I love it and continue. At this point in my life, I attract who I attract and I don't. And those who don't want to watch, don't watch. That's the direction of what I wanted to share when it comes down to the content that I'm thinking about creating, because I think it is such a value to truly think about somebody else who's watching my content. Someone like you who's spending time to listen, watch, and absorb the content. How do I make it impactful? Even if you don't subscribe, even if you have subscribed, and even if you're a longtime subscriber, what do I do to get you to feel like there was some form of difference, no matter how long you stay into your life? Because my mom used to say, if you affect one person in a positive way, you've done your good job. And I take that with me because If I think about just one person who watches my content, what do I want them to take away? What do I want them to leave with? And honestly, I haven't been thinking about that since I started this channel. I'm just in automatic way of what I used to do. Instead of, I think what made my success in my other channel was that I thought about someone else outside of myself and what do they need? What would be impactful? Sometimes even delivering information that you don't know you need is needed. It's still about being creative, but how do I formulate the combination of creativity and the teaching skills that I had? Because that's really truly is in alignment of who I am. I am always a teacher, no matter what. I've had to grieve over losing to the classroom physically. And my husband did a really good job with reminding me that you do have your classroom. It's on YouTube. You just get to be your own boss. You get to be your own guidance. You get to be your own. You can do whatever you want. This is your freedom. This is your classroom. Now, what do you want to teach? He said this years ago, but I took that and I was just like, oh, I'm still a teacher. It's still in me. Now, how do I make that valuable for someone else? How do I impact someone else's life, knowing that someone else is watching my videos all the time? How do I make it impactful moving forward? Because that is the growth of what I want to do for my channel. I want it to just be so meaningful, even if it's just a small view to a long-time subscriber. That is the overall goal of the things that I want to create here on my channel. Now, I use this word loosely, but a lot of people, and a lot meaning a few comments that I get on my videos, a lot of them are just like very well compliments that really are meaningful to me because one, it gives you validation that you are making a difference because just because we see the numbers in the corner of how many views or how much people have watched doesn't mean it's impactful to the creator because it can still come across as you're not making a difference. So those people who spend time to leave a comment, it is the most meaningful. It is the way I connect with people because this is a very solitude career, especially when you're doing it alone in the beginning, which is what I'm doing. And one of the compliments I tend to get is that it's so cute. It's so adorable. I absolutely love it. And I love that. But now how do I make it valuable for you? What are the things that you want to learn when it comes down to shopping? Or is it the shopping that is inspirational enough or it's valuable or it's making you like, oh my God, I didn't even think to put those things together or get something like that. And you did. And now I want it. It's stuff like that that I am working myself through. This is how I process. I usually process out loud. I'm not crazy. But the most intelligent people are the ones who have conversations with themselves. And it's something that I have been doing for years. So I'm not ashamed to say it. And I know there are people out there who are just like me. I've met them. Other ideas that I was having, and again, I'm not looking for permission because I think I want to create content that works in alignment with me. But the best research you can do for creating content is to see what the world wants. And sometimes a little bit of the world is just a small community of people who are willing to subscribe to your channel. And when they share their thoughts and it's received, they love to be a part of your community. And so my goal is to not just be seen on YouTube. It's really to make a community of people who want to rebuild their lifestyle with their home. They love to be creative, but sometimes they're overwhelmed. Sometimes they are so busy. Sometimes it's the lack of money. Sometimes it's just, I don't even know where to start. Or I don't have the same stores as you. So what do I do with the stores that I do have? Because I have met so many people all over the world. And it is very different outside the US with the people in Australia, or the UK, or the Caribbean, or Canada, just like all over the world. So then how do we create videos that no matter where you are, it's of value? That's where I'm at with my thought process of the things that I want to create here. Some other content ideas of the things, again, not looking for permission, but if it's something that's like, oh man, I would love to see that. One of the things that, again, I'll look on the side is resetting my craft space or how do I store or organize my stuff. I'm figuring that out too. How to not overconsume with things that you don't need versus what you do. How do you set the tone for color palettes for each season, and why are you choosing a certain color? When it comes down to maybe some DIY or home decor mistakes that I've made, and depending on where you live, it's usually different solutions. What makes these certain themes of styles different from one another? If I have a modern farmhouse home, how do I incorporate maybe more cozy feel decor? Again, one, I want to emphasize I am not an interior designer. I am a person who just loves colors, seasonal stuff, and home decor. And it's really amplified these days because I am in a home that I truly love. That's also a content. What do you do when you don't love the home that you're in, but there's nothing you can do right now to change it? I've been there. You got to make the most of it. But there are strategies that really were helpful for me as I transitioned into a different area of my life where I do appreciate it. Is this the most ideal? Is this the dream? Is this the place that I wanted on my vision board? No, but it is a step in the right direction, which is what I want to emphasize when it comes down to the thought process. Some ideas that I had was how to become confident with a Cricut, because if you are anything like me who gets overwhelmed with a lot of details and steps, I avoided using a Cricut, but I challenged myself and it gave me the confidence to now I know no matter what I do, when it comes down to it, I can take it on, and it's a lot easier as you learn more. Another thing is how to start decorating your home if you're overwhelmed, how to choose the right glue for your projects. These are things that have really come up, and I'm formulating all of the content ideas of things that I want to incorporate here on my channel. Again, this video is not being put out there because I want to look for permission of what I should create. It's more of like a co-creation. It's not just my channel, it's my channel that takes into consideration the community that I'm creating. And the community that I'm creating is like the classroom that I had. And with that said, all of my students, I was a high school teacher and middle school teacher, all of my students in every single period had its own mini community. And they all had a different temperature that was in each class. Obviously, we know the early classes were not as energetic as the lunch classes, and then the energy drops again in the last period of the day. So each class had its own personality, its own community, and its own way of things that work differently sometimes for each period. I say all that just because although I created a community with a different YouTube channel, this is a different mission. This is a different vision. This is something that I avoided because I didn't think it was of value. And so I take that with me when it comes down to how I teach on YouTube, because you are my new students. And so co-creating in the classroom was easy when I felt and they felt connected. I want to bring that situation here. You're going to hear a lot of teaching analogies. This also will not be the last video that I do like this. I think sometimes I get intuitive hits that I'm like, turn on the camera. And this is just me because I'm not scared to turn on the camera and talk. In fact, I probably talk too much. I should have my own podcast. I tried to do a podcast. That was a whole nother story we'll get into later on. But please let me know if this was a valuable. The one biggest takeaway I would love to hear from you is, what is something that you're struggling with or something that you're inspired by when it comes down to the things that I'm creating, or you would love to see more of? It would be so meaningful to hear from you. And I know what it means to comment on a video because I'm a person who's a silent watcher and I don't normally comment on other people's videos. But when it's meaningful and someone's truly trying to connect, it's usually when I show up. I'm hoping you feel the love has been expressed and put out there on the internet. I don't know where we're going from here, but I am hopeful. I hope this video inspired you to feel a little more connected with me and my channel, where I want to go. Again, I have no expectations. I just know that sometimes it takes a heart to heart to change the trajectory of the things that you want to do and where you want to go. Take this like a grain of salt. It's not the most lavish, high quality anything. But I also think transparency and keeping it very real is something so valuable that we don't see on the internet. I love you so much. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, night, morning, whatever you're watching this. And there will be more kind of chit chats with me, especially when I'm in a pivotal moment in my life. And I just want to bring you along. Again, I don't expect anything, but if you are new here, hit that subscribe button so we can become friends, especially if you made it all the way to the end. I love you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.